Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun to lean on. Today we're doing Siman Kufnan Aleph 151 in Orachai. We started last week. Hilchos Beis HaKnesses. We're continuing. This Siman talks about a lot of things you're not allowed to do in a base medrash, a basic Knesses, like eating, drinking, sleeping, going there for shelter from the rain or the heat, talking. Shul, not a talking shul. You see from shuls that give you a bunch of rules. You can't talk in the shul. You have to turn your phones off in the shul. You're not allowed to joke around in the shul. You're not allowed in the base medrash also. Now, these halachas are blatantly violated throughout Klal Yisrael. No matter how frum you are, there's always people that are going to talk in shul. There's always people that are going to eat, have kiddushes in shul. Most shuls have kiddushes in the shul. They allow this. People are eating, drinking. A lot of base medrash people will be sleeping all the time. People are dash, they step over this halacha. It's hard to understand because, there's so many halachas that we have in the Torah that people are extra machmir. Rabbeinu Tam for Shabbos, they'll wait, 72 minutes before Shabbos is over. People will be very machmir in certain areas of halacha kashrus. They have 100 million kashrus symbols just to make sure something's kosher. When it comes to the basic Knesses, Arabim, Dashubo, people don't care about these halachas. Hard for me to understand. So, based on the assumption that people are not violating halacha and have an ayin tov and looking at Jews in a positive light, and I think this is the truth. I think we have to reevaluate what exactly basic Knesses and a basic medrash is. I don't think a shul is a basic Knesses, and I don't think a base medrash is a basic medrash. What you think is a base medrash is a base medrash. I think a basic Knesses is like here in Israel. Knesses is the parliament here in Israel. Anshe Knesses Agdola was 120 people. There's 120 MKs, members of Knesses here in Israel. A parliament. Now, there's the Parliament of Israel, there's the Congress of the United States, and then every municipality, every county, every city, there's different governing bodies, and there's places where they meet. And that's a Beis HaKnesses, where those people gather together to make laws. You come there to daven, Lispalel, I mentioned, is not just the point of davening. Yes, we have a standard Shmona Esrei, which you do in a shul that we consider Beis HaKnesses, but the real Beis HaKnesses is pilul, is like naftali, palalti is bedin, is to adjudicate and elucidate laws that govern the county, the city, the municipality, the state, the country. Those are important things to make those laws, and you have to have peace and quiet and decorum in those places. You shouldn't be eating and drinking in those places. You shouldn't be talking out in those places. Those are serious places. You have to make laws that will affect a lot of people, make laws affecting the taxes and the budget and zoning and things like that. And there's so many, laws to protect against crime and to protect against this and that, So these laws, and those are serious places. If you go to those places, people are not going and sitting down like in a base medrash and taking out their rugalach and starting to eat with their coffee. People are not doing that. They go there and they treat it with, you go to the parliament here in Israel, go to Congress. There's no congressman who just decides to put his head down and go to sleep in the middle of a Congress session. Maybe they do. I'm not familiar enough with it, but it seems to me not. They're not going to go ahead and order takeout Chinese and have a meal in the middle of Congress, in the middle of a session, in the middle of the Israeli parliament. They're not going to do that. That's what I think a Beis HaKnesses is, and those places are generally have a strict decorum. And a base medrash, I would say, is, we think of it as our, from base medrash, but it really means a library. A midrash is a place where people seek wisdom, seek the truth. A public library, even though they have non-Jewish books there, sometimes they have Jewish books. I remember when I was in Yeshiva University, they have an extensive library there with not just Jewish books. They still have this library there. I remember one of the rabbis there, it was Simon, I think his name was. I think he's still a rabbi there. He used to learn. His base medrash was the fifth floor in the library, the highest floor in the library. They had a lot of, because it was in YU, University, they had a lot of Sfarim there also. So extensive library. So he didn't confine himself to a regular base medrash. He confined himself to the library. And if you're familiar with public libraries, because I am, because I was modern Orthodox, so I did frequent these libraries. I didn't really enjoy books so much, but I did sometimes when I was younger go to libraries. If you've been to the library, you got to keep quiet over there, right? It's not a problem over there. You don't have to shush. Once you start talking loud, it gets noticed, and you feel awkward speaking over there. When you go into a shul, people have no problem going over there and sitting in the back and conversing. We'll talk about that in all in the mishpacha, a special edition. I really have an important message to say about all in the mishpacha. I'm going to do that segment later. One of the articles they had was about enforcing certain rules. It's a made-up story. It's called Double Take, where two different possible perspectives on a story that happened. There was a minion over there. It was a made-up story. A minion that was very, they didn't really talk. They had a policy of no talking. It wasn't an official policy, but that was the people were very serious over there. And then these people, out of convenience, a younger crowd started coming in for Friday night davening, and they started davening there. And they didn't really do much davening. They just really used it to say they were going to shul and talk with their friends, and they were making it. They were talking very loudly, and they were ruining other people's davening. Some to the point that some other members had to leave the shul to daven elsewhere on Friday night, and they were discussing, and based on that, they made rules, and the whole thing was whether the rules are right or not right. I think the whole idea. I mean, the premise is that the implication you got from the story is that they had no problem. It's okay for these people to come to the shul and ruin the decorum over there. They're allowed to daven there. They have a right to daven without membership. I think that's kind of crazy. Um, but the point is that the fact is that when people come to shul, they talk. No matter how many rules you have or how many times people tell you to shut off your phones, no one shuts off their phones. And you go to base medrash over here, there's always people schmoozing. Even the biggest rabbis are talking about mundane things in the shuls, in the base medrashes over here, because that's how I was talking. Base medrash is talking about a library. And a library is a public place, and part of it is that it's a secular place also. People expect a certain sense of decorum. I think the more from you get, people don't like listening to policies. I think this was a lot during COVID, people were wearing masks and things like that, especially in the from areas. People disregarded these things. Uh, I heard one person say in Lakewood, they said, in Lakewood, the minhag is not to wear a mask. Even though the law was you had to wear a mask in closed places. But the minhag, what do you mean the minhag wasn't? What does that mean? Dina Malchus Dina, whether you like the law or not like the law, they didn't impose a law, I think in most states, that you had to wear masks in closed places during various severe periods of the corona. So what do you mean you don't go along with it? And there was a lot of public outcry, and De Blasio was focusing on communities in Williamsburg. You know what? I have to say, being an insider and being part of the Jewish community, and yes, I think from Jews flaunt, especially if you're from and you detach yourself from the government and you don't believe in the government. Here in Israel, there's a sect of people don't vote over here because they don't want to be part of the government. In America, the from communities, they don't really, it's not important to them, the government. They have their own communities, their Jewish values. That's not important. They don't really go along with secular law. In a country like America, where people have respect for each other, not like Israel, people, their respect is missing, customer service is missing, because the region of the world, the Middle East, is like that. Um, in America, a country like that where respect is given, people have good customer service, people have respect for one another. You go to a public library, which is visited by a lot of non-Jews, there's decorum over there. No one speaks too loudly. No one, if you do it, you just feel awkward. You don't have to get shushed. You'll feel awkward because there's respect over there. In a non-Jewish place like that, people listen to the laws. People listen to and there is decorum over there. And again, no one's going to order Chinese and eat in the middle of a library. No one's going to go to sleep in the middle of it. Maybe some people will take a short nap. That's why Shana Sarai is okay. But most people are not going to use it to lie down on the benches over there and take a nap like some Avrechim do. They go down, lie down on the benches over here and go to sleep for an hour or 2 hours. You're not going to see that in a library. So that's what I really think of base medrash, basic analysis is. It makes a lot more sense to me. And therefore, our shuls, our base medrashes, are not considered really real base medrash, basic analysis. And therefore, whatever is being done in them is 100% okay. And those shuls that tell you can't talk in them, they're wrong because they're not real basic analysis. They're not making laws over there. It's not a governing body. It's not a municipality. It's not a state senate, state assembly. So then it's okay. As I have to say, I will talk more about this as we go through Hilchos Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMedrash. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.